we are gonna stretch and roll out the upper shoulder today. So I'm gonna target the upper trap, the levator scapula, and the rhomboid mostly. But as we work through these muscles, we're also gonna be influencing the health of the middle back, the thoracic spine, and the neck, which is the cervical spine. We will start with stretching the neck in different directions that will stretch these muscles. We're gonna roll out the area, and then we're gonna come back to these stretches and see if they feel any different. Start by taking a nice tall seat. If you feel more comfortable with your hips elevated, it might be nice to sit on top of a pillow while we do these first stretches. We're gonna bring the skull back and then make as many double chins as you can. So it's not the best looking moment, maybe not the time to take a picture. And making these double chins, you're gonna bring your chin to your chest. I want you to keep holding this. I just want to speak to the fact that this does sometimes cause tension in the shoulder. So as you're holding this double chin, as you're pulling it down to your chest, think about separating the vertebra at the back and relaxing your shoulders. And then release your chin and give your shoulders a little shake. If you find it hard to breathe while you're doing this stretch, then take a release in between to take an inhale and join again. We're gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna do it with you. Take an inhale, double chins, chin to chest. And then rolling back up to center. And I'm gonna remind you to roll quite a bit in most of these videos because this is creating articulation of vertebra on vertebra. It's really reminding the spine that it moves in segmental rotation rather than just one big chunk moving at a time. Take your left ear to your left shoulder. And you're just noticing, so there's nothing wrong. I can tell you personally that these muscles are feeling really tight today. Feels like it's pretty hard to get my left ear towards my shoulder. A reminder to drop your shoulder. And then keeping this, what's called lateral flexion, your head over to the side, we're gonna turn the chin to the left collarbone. So just turning that chin towards your left collarbone, maybe feeling a different set of muscles, stretching a little more on this side. And the last change we're gonna make, you can either just stay here or try leaning your head back a little if that feels safe for you to do so. And you may feel the muscles all the way up to the jaw here. And we'll hold for 3, for 2, and 1. If you feel safe, you'll just roll back to center. Otherwise, use your left hand to help your head come back to center. Especially if you've been diagnosed with degeneration in your neck or you've experienced whiplash or any injury, it's always safer just to help that neck come out after it's been held in a stretch for a long time. Let's go ahead to the right side. So lengthen up and then take your right ear to your right shoulder. And I'll tell you, my right shoulder wants to cave in and tense up because there's some compression here from being tight. So a reminder to let that right shoulder release. And the breath is the gateway to relaxation. So we want to be taking nice, deep breaths. Rotate your chin towards your right collarbone. Again, changing any tension if it's starting to creep in. Using the breath. And then the last option is to lean that head back. Almost like you could just throw your head behind your shoulder, but it's attached quite tightly for me, in fact, so it's not gonna go anywhere. And we'll take one more breath and then assist or just roll your head back to center. So that was our initial stretches. We're gonna come back to those at the end. So if you can just make a little mental memory of how everything felt, I think it's a nice comparison to have after we roll. We're gonna start rolling in the upper trap. So the upper trap is this triangular bit of muscle that makes up your upper shoulder. So we wanna have the ball kind of as high into this muscle before the ball would roll out and come out. So we're gonna go for a goal of being between the shoulder blade and the neck in this triangular slip of muscle. So we're gonna come to our backs. In general, It feels a lot more loose in the upper body to keep the knees bent while we're doing this. You are more than welcome to straighten your legs if that feels like where you want to be. But the other advantage to having your knees bent is that it actually puts a little more weight in the upper body, which is what we're looking for. So let's start with the right side. You're going to take your ball and place it in the triangle of that upper trap. And then we screen. So you're just going to move within like an inch radius in this space until you find a spot that is tender. And then we're going to lie into it. So release your arms to the floor. And we'll take a few breaths in here. While you're taking these breaths, just notice if you carry any tension in your hip flexors of the pelvis. Relax your legs. And then we'll just, still within kind of like a circular radius of an inch, find one more spot while we're up here in the upper trap. You may also choose to lift up your arm to put a little more weight into that spot. There's a lot of arm movement that can generate more sensation or less sensation. So feel free to use your upper limb on the same side as the ball to find a more intense sensation or less. Take big breath in, fill your belly, and a big breath out. We're gonna move 1 inch or 2 inches down. So what you're gonna do is press your feet into the floor to bring your head up to move the ball down, if that makes sense. We're gonna move around up and down, side to side, until we find our next spot that we wanna lie into with a couple breaths. So release your arms again, relax your legs, big breath in, and big breath out. Breathe in and out. And then we're gonna create just a smaller amount of intensity in this spot as we're into the rhomboids as well, and take our right arm across the body. So just take it as far as you're willing to go, and you can continue to breathe. Maybe screen a little more. Now, it is normal when there are ribs that are sitting back or the thoracic spine is tight. If you hear a little pop while the ball is under here, it should feel like a release. It's nothing to worry about. And let's take 2 more breaths. Big breath in and out. And 1 more in and out. Release your right arm. We're moving down to our last spot. So using your feet to push your head forward. We're in our last spot. So still between the shoulder blade and the spine, but in the lower part of the shoulder blade, or maybe all the way at the inferior ankle. We're gonna take the arms out, relax the face, take a couple breaths here. And as you're breathing, I just want to remind you, there's a lot going on in here. And I'm making this video a length where if you want to pop in for a couple of minutes, you can, but this area can be explored for a lot longer. So if you want to pause in a space where you want to stay longer in, then feel free to pause the video, take more breaths in that area, and then unpause when you're ready to move on. All right, for this guy, we are gonna take 1 more stretch, taking that right arm across, and that might be where you want to stay, and then also tucking the chin. Good, and then to come back, release the head, release the arm, maybe give yourself a little scroll up and down in this band between your shoulder blade and the spine, coming all the way back up to that upper trap, and then taking the ball and releasing it. Before we do the left side, we're gonna take a bit of time strengthening a group of muscles on the front of the neck that are very important for the health of the neck. These are the deep neck flexors, and they're actually on the front of the vertebrae, which means that you have to pretend that you took away all the stuff that's on the front, your trachea, your esophagus, your throat, and we're working on a muscle that's at the very back, which is the deep neck flexors. We have this arch at the back of the neck where you usually can find a lot of space, and while we're working this exercise, we're looking to decrease that arch and get our spine, neck part of the spine close to the mat. So as we inhale, we're gonna lift the chin. And as you exhale, like we did earlier, as many double chins as you can, bringing your chin towards your chest and trying to flatten the curve of your neck. Release your chin, inhale. Exhale, double chins, pressing back. And last one, lifting up your chin and pressing the back of your neck towards the floor. And release it. So what you might notice in the beginning is that this is learning how to use a different muscle that we're not as connected to. So it's not going to seem as intuitive as using your bicep. It's kind of like learning how to use your pelvic floor. So have patience with that one. Bring your arms out. We're going to turn our head all the way to the right, just letting that right ear sit on the floor. This is just establishing rotation in the neck without needing to use the muscles, just letting gravity do the work. And then you'll take your head back to center and we'll turn it so that the left ear comes to the floor. Bringing the head back to center, we're gonna take the ball and we're doing the same 3 spots on the left side. So we're gonna take the ball, put it under that triangular piece of muscle, right up at the top there, just as high as you can get it before it pops out of that little space. So we're gonna use our circular rotation to find the spot that's eliciting sensation, and we're gonna choose to breathe in here. So relax your arm around the spot and we'll take a couple breaths. Inhale and exhale. Just continuing to let the belly move as you take these deep breaths. We're massaging a big nerve called the vagus nerve that helps the body to come into relaxation. And these points cause the opposite of relaxation, so we want to create a new reaction around them. Just like we did on the other side, let's move just slightly around this upper point, and maybe you want to lift up your arm and see how that feels, introducing a little more weight and a couple more breaths. Remembering that the left side and the right side live very different lives. So there's going to be a different sensation on the right than there will be on the left. Great. Now we're going to move up again with our body so that the ball moves down. I'm running out of space. So we're going to come up a little and find a new spot. We're kind of mid shoulder blade between the spine and going across and then up and down to find our spot. A lot of the spots can be found along the blade of the shoulder blade. So you may choose to go closer to the spine or the shoulder blade. It's not a huge amount of space. And we'll breathe in here. Nice big breath in. And out. And one more big breath in. And out. Then let's do like we did on the other side, taking the left arm across and deciding, it might be too intense and you want to just stay how you were with your arm by your side, or taking the last 2 breaths with your arm across. Remembering to notice if any other contractions started to happen when the intensity came up. Let's move to our last spot. I think I can have enough clearance to get up to the last spot, which is, I am gonna move down a little bit. Okay, So this spot right at the lower part of your shoulder blade, again, in between the shoulder blade and the spine, and finding the exact location that you want to breathe into, relaxing your arms for the first couple breaths. I like to close my eyes because at the end of the day, again, we're trying to shut down any other stimulation and relax around these points. And we'll take that arm across. I find this very intense, so you may choose to just keep your arm up by your side, and like we did on the other side, maybe lifting up your neck and making a double chin, slightly rounding your spine in this spot for 2 more breaths. And then releasing the arm, maybe guiding your head back down, and we'll take the ball out. You may choose to pause here and do the deep neck flexor exercise again. This is very, very important for the health of the neck, and if you are experiencing neck pain, it is a game changer. We're gonna roll to one side and use your hand to press you all the way up, finding your nice tall seat again. And we'll finish with a shorter version of the stretches you started with. So relax your shoulders, take a nice inhale, lift up nice and tall, and then bring your left ear to your left shoulder. And then we'll turn the chin towards the collarbone. And last option, to lean your head back. Assisting or rolling your chin to your chest and rolling one vertebra back up to center. Take a nice deep breath in, lengthen. Exhale, bring your right ear to your right shoulder. And it might not feel perfect. It might not feel 100% improved, or maybe even 20%. But if you continue this work, it will start to improve. Let's turn the chin towards that collarbone. And then lean the head back. Rolling your chin to your chest, coming up one vertebra at a time, giving your shoulders a nice release. And this type of work we're gonna do every second day. We are causing a little bit of mechanical inflammation with the ball, and inflammation is how your body heals. So we're doing it on purpose, but let's give the body 24 to 48 hours to recover, clean up any dead tissue with the inflammation, and then come back to it in a couple days.